Hi, welcome to this quick how-to help video on dividing decimals. These are going to be the 3 questions that I use to demonstrate the method. It is bus shelter, so if you are not familiar with bus shelter, you might want to just go and do that on integers, on whole numbers, before you start bringing in the decimals. I'll put a link into the description if you do need that, so it's available to you. Otherwise, I'm going to do each one of those in turn. So if there's just one in particular that you want to look at, you can easily jump to it. Okay, so the first question that we're going to look at, which is 285.6 divided by 6. The first thing to note is, although this has got a decimal in it, we don't need to change the question before we get going on it. What we're dividing by is a whole number, which means we can just crack straight on and do it. So this will go into our bus shelter. I like to try and space things out when I remember. So I've got room to put my carryovers. So 6s into 2. So how many 6s can I get into 2? That will be 0. And the 2 carries on to create 28. How many 6s in 28? That would be 4 with 4 left over. 6s into 45 is 7 with 3 left over. But I can't ignore the fact that the decimal is here. The next thing I hit is the decimal, not the 36. So the decimal is now going to go up. It's just here. And then 6s into 36 goes 6 exactly. So my answer is 47.6. So really with that question, I don't do anything at all other than crack on with it. Okay, so next question. 63.2 divided by 0.4. All right, so this is where things change. I am dividing by a decimal. It's not what I want to do. I really want to manipulate this question so that I am able to do it with ease. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the entire question by 10. So not just the 0.4, but the 63.2 as well. That will keep the balance, which means I don't have to do any readjusting at the end. If I multiply 0.4 by 10, it'll shift the 4 up from the tenths to the units column to give me 4. Or you can think of it as moving the decimal that way, whatever works for you, really. Obviously, I must do the same with my 63.2. So that will give me 632. All the numbers shifting up one place value, or the decimal moving down one. And now I've written a question that's equivalent and that actually has no decimals. So that's just a lucky coincidence. And we're going to pop and do the normal bus shelter. 4s into 6 go 1, remainder 2. 4s into 23 go 5, remember 3. And 4s into 32 go 8. So the answer is 158. Now, this is where a lot of people want to divide back down. You don't need to do anything, okay? It's a bit like saying 10 divided by 2 is 5. And now if I times all of that by 10, I would have 100 divided by 20. Well, 20s into 100 are 5. They've got the exact same answer. We've just manipulated things to make it work better for us. Okay, last question. We have got 5.8 divided by 0.05. Again, we've got this problem here. And this time, in order for me to get an integer, I need this 5 to go 2 place values, or I need the decimal to move 2 places down. So instead of timesing by 10, I'm going to times by 100. I'm going to multiply by whatever is necessary to get rid of that decimal ultimately. So the 5 would move to the hundreds column, giving me 580. Or again, you can be thinking of it just by moving the decimal. And to be honest, a lot of people do it like this. 1, 2, and fill in the 0. You have to do what feels right for you. So I've got 580 divided by 5. So 580 divided by 5. 5s into 5 go 1, nothing left over. 5s into 8 go 1, with 3 left over. 5s into 30 are 6. So the answer is 116. Okay, hopefully you have found that useful, and it's going to help you with your dividing decimals.